I thought I thought it was going to be nice and springtime-ish.
Oh, it's not snowing.
So I changed the intro, so a bit early, I think.
Is that the new ferry you were filming?
That was well, it would be better than what we've got anyway. But hello, bit different today. We are in my house again, and I'd like to introduce Jules Lee from Stonewater House, and Keith Robertson from down in Kildonan. Yes. And they are here partly to help with our news, because there's not been much going on this week. I think even the banner would admit that, but they're here to talk about the Veg Fest as well, that's coming up in
March 14th and 15th.
Thank you.
2 weeks.
Thank you. And it's been well advertised and well covered so far. You were trying to do it last year, were you not? Was that?
We did originally plan to do it in November last year.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah.
we decided to allow ourselves a little extra planning.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it's proper. You should get these things right. So, all used to doing that. Plenty of time to prep and everything else.
We've got some lovely things to sample.
Oh, we've got we've got masses of stuff, and we'll thank
That's
everybody. Typical woman. We'll thank everybody later for the bits and pieces that we've got, because they've come from a variety of sources. News-wise, I've got the banner here, and there's actually 3 pages on this church that's up for sale in Lamlash. It was a building that was supposed to be converted into apartments and
luxury apartments.
Yeah. Well, that's up to you, isn't it? Really.
Well, I suppose so.
And in my version of luxuries, I don't know. Anyway, but the project sort of stalled, and the guy is now selling it for 1.25 million, which, as I was saying to you, I did have actually on Monday, but on Friday I didn't.
It's very careless.
Well, no, it's that stupid virus thing, isn't it? It's just ruined everything. But anyway, there's a big article about that in the banner. What else is in here this week that we picked up on?
Not a huge amount. There's not a lot of stuff.
I'll tell you what there is. There's a really good article on gardening and stuff, and it's bringing people up to date with what's going on. And we know that Cladach are doing all sorts of new bits and pieces down there. So that's quite good that we've got a new garden centre on the way. Where we've invited them on, but they've both said just wait, we're not quite ready yet. A bit like these guys, we're not quite ready. Everyone's not quite ready to do anything.
I love this time of year, so I've had 3 different catalogues come through the door, just with all your seeds and your veg and different things. It's quite exciting. I don't really do that much with it, but it's nice bedtime reading.
Maybe that's why Dusty's dug so many holes in my garden. He's actually preparing the lawn.
Just waiting for
preparing for the lawn for the bits and pieces. But there's a couple of bits in the banner about the gardening thing. There's an article about the kids at Whiting Bay. They've done quite well, and there's obviously that big feature about the church, and it's got to be worth the money, hasn't it, for somebody?
That's an argument, yeah.
Well, if you had the money, as a cooperative, we could just buy it between us and do it up,
No, I think we need to do that. Do a boat first. I think we need to have a cooperative boat first.
Yeah, I think the boat's a better idea.
I don't think we need another bit of accommodation just yet, but anyway. Right, moving on to news. Your news, because you've got all the notes this week.
It's National Drink Wine with Your Cat Week.
I knew you were going to mention this.
You made that up.
No, seriously, I didn't.
Is this? Don't you think?
This is.
We haven't got a cat.
I can borrow a
So
cat.
why are you so excited?
Because I've always had a cat. This is the longest I've never had a cat. I need to get another cat so I can
I think
drink
it's the wine rather than the cat.
What I would like to know, marketers have actually developed sort of wines with things like Pinot Meow and different names on them. This is a serious article.
Sounding very American.
Yes.
Yes, you asked me, Jules.
Burgundy.
It's definitely got a California feel to it.
But what I want to know is, where do all these, it's national, eat a jelly baby day, or there's so many of them.
Well, it depends if it's a vegan jelly baby or not.
Well, they're not. There's gelatin in them.
So we know these things, you see.
Yeah. But is there an office somewhere in the country where they sit and make up all these days?
Well, I don't think it's not tagged with official, is it? It's just let's have a committee, let's have an association, and we'll just put it out on social media, and it just grows arms and legs. Whether it's having any government backing or
I
what.
mean, we always had Pancake Day, and there were certain things, that you had.
Yeah, but
Shrove
that
Tuesday.
goes back to
It's in shirts, isn't it?
yeah, it goes back to Shrove
Sure, all that
Shrove
pancakes.
Tuesday. And
So
all
do you
that.
not think in 20 or 30 years' time they're still going to be talking about National Drink Wine with Your Cat Week? It's a whole week, it's not a day.
Cats,
A week.
that's an inclusive thing. I mean, where are people without cats meant to, what are we meant to do for the week?
Yeah.
Borrow a cat.
Yeah, I know, I think that's out of order.
Discriminatory.
This egalitarian society we're trying to build together. Originally it was the card companies, wasn't it? Card
That's
companies gave you
true,
Mother's
actually.
Day,
Yeah.
Father's Day,
Yeah.
but
And they were looking for an excuse to fill the other weeks
Uh-huh.
that didn't have anything. Yeah.
yeah.
Hallmark days.
Yeah, that's
maybe.
true. Oh well. Do we have a National Vegan Day?
There is, yes, it's 1st of November, I think.
1st of November.
November is designated as National Vegan Month, in fact.
But you don't need a cat for that.
You don't need a cat, no.
Barbara Ianson says there's a cat in the village desperately looking for you. And I've been offered one as well from Mick. No thanks, Mick. Thank you very much. I've got enough on my hands with a 14-year-old and a dog.
Has it got a bottle of wine with?
And as for Mark Cox drinking wine with cats, I've told Sophie that's my friends down south, and they won't need you don't need an excuse for drinking wine either. Don't give me that rubbish. Anyway, let's move off the cats, can we?
Okay, walks, Glen Sannox.
Ooh.
There's a big landslide there, so I think that walk's closed just
It
now.
just goes to show how much water we've had.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's just been amazing. I've taken this video. I'll pop this video up while we're talking about the amount of rain that we've had. This is Merkland this morning. There was actually quite a lot of people up there. And I think the locals just like to know where to go to escape everybody else that might be desperately stuck and wanting to go for a walk and get out of the wind as well because it's been really windy. But that's Merkland this morning, and it was thundering down. Look at that.
Yeah, but next week we could be in water rationing.
Well, I doubt
I
it
doubt
very
it.
much,
I
but
doubt
I
it.
mean, it was absolutely fantastic. Really slippery up there, quite dangerous if you've got kids and rogue dogs.
Well, the other thing with dogs is
As
that,
well.
I mean, sometimes I go with friends who throw balls, and if the ball goes into the burn, the dog wants to go in after it, and I don't really feel like going in after the dog either. It's
It was
quite
seriously-
dangerous.
I mean, Glenashto must be stunning at the moment, is it?
It's beautiful. It is beautiful, but it's. I think because they're taking some of the trees out as well, they found some. Is it elm disease? Some of the trees are diseased, so they want to take them out. So that Glen Ashdale's closed, certainly on the Kildonan side.
Right. Okay.
So you can't go up to the Giants' Graves that way either. I'm not sure.
We got a photo from Alan Templeton this week, which I thought was quite an unusual one, and that just shows the changing weather we've had. You guys can't see this, unfortunately. But
No, we can't.
It's a picture of Holy Hour, but it's one half of it's in sunshine, and exactly the other half's in cloud. It's really strange. You'll see it later.
There must be a line somewhere. You know, when you're walking along and it's been raining in Whiting Bay but not in Lumlash, there must be a
Yeah,
point where
the-
it finishes.
Yeah.
I don't think it's a definite line, is it?
It's all right now, but it's just what. It's just a
Oh,
cloud.
let's-
But it was just a cloud
Last
coming
night
across,
it
but
was-
it just so happened to have cast the same shadow on the sea, so it's quite a...
That looks like a
It's-
definite line, though.
Yeah.
There's a definite line between Brodick and where the supper club was last night. Coming
Corrie.
back. Yeah, Corrie, thank you.
Right.
Yeah, you can't step from rain into
Sort of one arm
to
in.
dry. Yeah. It depends on the wind and stuff.
It's quite,
If
it's
it's windy
quite,
at all, then it's going to be a bit more diffuse.
Meanwhile, the ferry is
going.
going. It has gone.
Hasn't broken down today.
It was off yesterday, most of the day. I think
Yeah,
it
they
was
had
off.
technical issues as well yesterday.
Oh, yeah. Well, it's a technical fault.
Well,
It's
it
a
delayed
difference.
it.
Yeah, it delayed it, but
It
it's
delayed it with a technical fault. Fault will delay. I know the CalMac terminology now. I'm going to write an encyclopedia about it.
It's the visor that didn't close properly.
Oh, really? Oh.
The visor,
The front
Yeah.
the whole front end of the boat.
front beak.
Yeah. Which is kind of important,
would-
really.
So
yeah.
they get left across and then have to go back in.
Oh, right. Okay.
And I always get very nervous when the boat pulls out and it hasn't fully, as we say, dubbed up.
Well, there is a watertight door.
Yeah, I just always feel better when it's fully shut.
Yeah.
David Kelso saying the landslide is not in Glen Sannox, it's at the makeshift road to the picnic area at North Sannox, near the start
right,
of the
okay.
track to the fallen rock. That was a decent landslide, he says. It looked pretty
Yeah, I did see a photograph of it. It
pretty
looked-
substantial. Mark Harwood's saying it looks like bring your own burger. Yeah, it does a bit. We'll get there in a moment. If we're going to do bring your own
Only
burger,
veggie ones
it's going to be
today.
it's going to be one of these Rustler's new Moroccan vegetarian
Vegetal.
burger. Vegetal burger.
Vegan
Actually, I
burger.
love
whatever.
vegetarian burgers. I love the meatballs as well. The veggie meatballs are wonderful in the Coke.
It's nice to. It's always nice to know we've got people watching us from around the world, isn't it?
Are there?
Proper
Yes,
we
Robin
have-
Cook is watching it from Buenos Aires.
Oh,
Eh? How about that?
bet it's not snowing
Robin.
there just
How's
now.
it
So, no, it won't be, I don't think. Dusty, by the way, is not here. We've got rid of Dusty. There's far too much food around, so he's away. Sorry, Sophie. Right, you were going to talk about the folk festival. Is
I
that-
could talk, or well, we could.
And you're going to bring.
Can I
Keith in.
quickly mention before the
Yeah.
folk there is on Saturday coming. There's a Gaelic Learners Fun Day in Ormadale Pavilion. I did briefly mention it last week, but it's going to be a lot of fun, and it's on between 11 and 1 and 2 and 4. You can go to one or both of the sessions. It's free, and it's in the Ormadale Pavilion. So if you want a few phrases of Gaelic just to be part of it, or if you're learning or doing Duolingo, like a lot of
Okay.
people are at the moment, it's worth popping in. And it doesn't cost anything. It's,
Okay.
It'd be fun. It'd be good fun.
Yep,
Okay,
yep, good.
just so I don't forget about that.
Right, music.
Music. The Folk Festival have got their website up and running. Well, their new website out and running. It's quite impressive, actually. Have you seen it?
Yes, it's Andy McCallum.
Yeah, no, it's good. And there's quite a bit about the history of it, which is quite fun. Because it started, the Isle of Arran Folk Festival actually started 50 years ago, but then it had a huge big gap. So this
Do you
year
remember
is...
it?
Not quite. I do remember the first one when they set it up again.
That cake's heading in my direction at speed, I think.
No, I'm not putting that one in. No, I'll find something else.
Oh.
Not the cake. Not the cake. But I was at the first one when they kick-started it again, which was...
Is it as big, Keith, as it used to be, or
The biggest we got was when we had the marquee
right?
at the back of the hall, going back the 90s.
Yeah, I missed that. I was away at that
Yeah,
point. I missed
1990s.
these
Yeah, I
ones,
mean
yeah.
that was when I remember
Duke
because I'm.
McLean and
Yeah, and you had-
King Edward III.
You had things on everywhere.
Yeah.
Dougie McLean was at the
Kip-
first one. He was at the very first
Kippa
one.
Young even played. Kippa
Mhm.
Young Kera, one of the major European bands.
Right.
And that was at its height, I suppose, with
The first
David
one.
Spillane.
The first one was really
I
good.
was saying last year was 25th, but it's up to, the numbers are up for grabs as well, because there was a few things that we did that weren't called the Folk Festival.
Yeah. I just remember the days with Joe Trickett and going up to Catacol, and they had a marquee up, and there was all sorts of things going up there when I lived in Lochranza, and it was there was a buzz all around the island, and I don't know.
Yeah, we did try and take it round the island for
Yeah.
a while as well,
Mhm.
different villages.
It didn't actually work that well taking it. I think most people
No, it comes
like
into
it to be in
transport.
Brodick.
Come down to transport. I mean, it's always a good idea to spread it around, but it's mainly in Brodick now.
Mhm.
I mean, there are other sessions going on that are not directly associated with the folk festival, but there are sessions on in pubs round
So-
about. But
So-
There's going to be late night sessions in. Well, there's the session during the day in the Douglas, which has been really popular.
especially if the good weather, you get out
Oh,
onto
to
the
get out on
decking
the deck,
area. It's
yeah.
fantastic. It's really
We can
lovely.
have
Bring your sun cream.
Yeah.
100 people there, you know, and like 25 musicians. And then the Brodick Bar has a late night session. Crofters involved.
Yep.
Yeah, Crofters. Well, they've got sessions on most of the time.
Northern
You
Dale
know,
are getting
so
back
they can-
involved, so we're.
Oh, are they? That's
yeah,
really
we're
good.
hoping to spread it around and have the late night session.
Mhm.
It's been a late night food as well.
So who came up with the name Uncle Keith? That kind of stuck a few years back.
It was just something I used to say when I taught. I used to go in and say, "Morning, everybody," and they would say good morning, and I would say for some reason, "I think you'll find it's good morning, Uncle Keith."
So you asked for it, and that's fine.
And then
You've already been referred to that online. So
yeah, there was a guy who came to the folk festival from New York and wrote a piece about it for the New York Times.
Oh wow!
And one of the highlights in his meeting was not meeting Uncle Keith. that was when the organisers heard back from it and stuff. So yeah, not quite sure where it came from.
It does need somebody though to keep it going.
Yeah, it's a wonderful session. I mean, we're there from Friday, Saturday, Sunday, 6 hours. There from 12:30 to 6 o'clock. But there's always amazing things come out of it,
And there's food on the go as well,
Yeah,
so that's quite good. You
and
can
the
go and
odd-
have something to eat at any time.
Swally.
No, it's really,
Yeah,
really
so
good
there's
fun.
always people come out of the. Last year we had Wallace Bird turned up. He's an amazing international star, and she's turned up and did a session in the hotel. So it's like.
It's lovely. That happens sometimes,
Right.
even at the wee
Sometimes-
sessions in the
sometimes
Ormadale
people
or somewhere
come
like
with
that.
harp.
Someone will come in.
Sometimes people come with their harp and they're
Yeah.
Yeah, no, this year it's on the agenda. It is on the agenda. Yeah, I think when there's so many people that have come over for the festival, it's lovely to see, especially if they've travelled, to give them the chance first spot to get in there and play music. It's really nice.
it's like a family. People come back every year.
Yeah, no, it's really good.
And then the concerts Friday night, Saturday night at the hall. We've got Mary McInnes.
Yep.
Mary McInnes is on in the Saturday night
She's
with
headlighting,
headlining,
which is wonderful to have.
Yep.
and the Lauren Collier band's on with her.
Yeah.
And then in
Lauren's
the
just an incredible piper. I don't know if you've heard them.
Yeah, no,
Play
So
the
when
Yeah.
is all this kicking off?
this is on the 12th of June, is a Friday night. There's
Starts
the
with the session on the Friday afternoon at the Douglas.
yeah. And then there's the
Good
Friday
session.
night concert, and the concert tickets are only £20, which is really good because you get
I get
a
it for
lot
free
for
because I
that.
can hear the Douglas from here. So.
Well, that's
Until
the
the early
session,
hours.
but the
Until the early hours, I
the
have to
concerts
say.
are in the Brodick Hall, and they tend to sell out quite quickly. You know,
Yeah,
the
they
last
do
few
sell
years
out.
they've sold out really
Which
quickly.
is great that people support it.
But I think you get an early bird. Is it an early bird ticket if you buy both concert tickets together online? I think you get a discount on the tickets, so that's worth doing. And
That's
Ivan
worth checking,
Drever, he's
isn't
on the Friday night as well. And
Yeah.
might do a
Chrissy's
couple of
dad.
Oh, is that Chris?
Yes, Chrissy's dad.
Oh, I went to see Chris Drever last year at Celtic
Yes.
Connections.
These guys are going to talk
Huge.
about music for some time. So
Yeah.
Sorry,
No, that's fine. That's fine.
Looking for beer or something.
Well,
Anything
you're a
with
musician as well. We're all
I was gonna say
musicians.
that-
Music and dancing.
Yeah, I was going to mention that the Survivors session is it on the Sunday afternoon?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun last year when I got to take my cajon along and
Oh, wonderful.
bang on the cajon a bit for a few minutes.
Many years ago, in fact, it was one of the first ones. I was at everyone went down to the boat and saw the musicians off in the boat just to make sure they were going. But we started singing across to the boat, and the boat were singing back,
Yeah.
and it was quite emotional. It was a beautiful day, and there's photographs still. I've got a few of them of everyone waving and sort of throwing streamers
Was it
and
the
things like
theme
that.
tune to Titanic or something?
No.
Because I'm leaving on the Klansman.
It was in the days when you knew the boat was going to sail. You weren't worried about
Gosh,
that.
That was
some
one of
time
the
ago.
ones we were singing one time. Because I'm leaving on the Klansman.
That was really good.
Well,
It's
that's
lovely.
appropriate. Now I don't know when I'll be back again.
Yes.
Danny Kyle, actually, because Danny Kyle was taking photographs of us, taking photographs of him. So we ended up, it was about 20 years later, through his daughter, we connected the photographs.
Right.
It was really, really nice.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, it's a Danny Kyle open stage up in
And I
Kilter.
got up stage,
Yeah,
At the
he was
Celtic
fabulous. I was taxiing him about because we had them in different venues, so we were all allocated someone to take, and he was just such a nice guy, really good. Fond
Great with
memories.
hecklers, Danny.
Oh, he was wonderful.
She said, what was some of them? It's all right. I was like that with my first pint.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right. You messaged me last night about something, and I had already seen Lorna at the Old Buyer, and the Old Buyer have built another new buyer, and this is the inside of it, and this is going to be a substantial, I would imagine,
Shoe shop.
a substantial shoe shop. So we've got
Not that I'm
another-
excited. I mean, I don't really.
So we've got another addition to their collection of buildings there. So yeah, it's great because I get to do all the signage. So,
And I'm not sure who it was at once. They put a competition out to see, to come up with the name, but the name they chose was the Shoe Bothy, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
But they're also doing proper measuring for shoes, which is quite important.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I grew up.
Well, it seems to used to be, but I don't think people do. I mean, I admire them for doing it, but we've never really done that with Carter. Maybe that's why he walks funny, but you know,
No, I
I
was
remember
brought
going
up
down
with-
because you used to go down to Clark's, didn't you?
Yeah, I was going to say
You would
Clark's.
have
the
all
X-ray machine.
You'd
Yeah.
have those big clampy things that broke
Yeah.
your toes and all that kind of
There's
stuff.
a nice
but,
scene, ferry coming in.
is there a ferry coming? Oh yes, there is a ferry coming in.
Crashing off the front.
Yeah, the ferry is coming.
So is that instead of cafe time?
No, it's as well
no,
as.
It's as well
they've got
as.
the cafe time will stay. They've got the main buyer showroom, and now they've got the shoe bothy and the big adventure playground area for the kids as well. So it's really
It's a really
it's,
good
it's
venue.
it's nice to have it at that side of the island where there's little, you know, else in Dougray Macri, and then you go over now to Balmichael and you've got
Alpacas.
got alpacas and all sorts.
Eco
So-
Savvy have got something on there
At Balmichael.
later on in the weekend after Veg Fest.
Yeah, Springfest, I think. they
Spring
call
Fest
it.
they do.
Have they at Balmichael?
Yeah, so that'll be the 21st, I suppose.
Maybe that's
Yeah, really
maybe
good.
that's tying in with the alpacas arriving and stuff. I don't know, but anyway,
I need
it's
to get the
all-
spinning
it's all
wheel
going.
out.
Yeah, the Jessops were in again last week, getting some bits and pieces, so they're cracking on with it. It's great to see that site being used after so many years of it being empty. You know, because I was saying to people last week about how many empty sites there are just in Brodick now, just that haven't been carried on and used, like the old ferry terminal and you know the McLaren and that, and it's
Post
I
office,
think
small
it's the
post
post
office
office.
building
There's,
now.
there's quite a lot of units now just sitting waiting to be taken over, and it's just a shame we're going to go into the summer, I think, with some of them still empty, especially the McLaren. I've thought about doing some banners and just sticking them up, you know, hiding the flora and fauna that might be running around in there, because it's quite substantial. But anyway, next, are we on?
Just one more thing,
Right.
and it's for Crofters Music Bar Bistro, and they've made it through to the final stage of the Business Awards for Scotland's Independent Bar of the Year and also Best Speciality Spirit Bar. So it's quite exciting. I mean, well done to get this
Yep.
far. That's really huge.
Yep.
So we're hoping that maybe they win, if not both of them, at
We're
least one of them.
hoping. We are going to get a little bit more coverage on Crofters soon, aren't we? Whether Ilana comes, I think Ilana's going to come in and speak to us. But we're doing some other bits and pieces with Crofters as well. So that's all
They've
taking
got quite
off.
a lot of new plans.
They've
so-
got lots of new plans, and we're not going to steal their thunder. We'll let them introduce what they're going to be doing. But yeah, it's
Just
looking
wanted to say well done.
good. Yep,
Getting this far.
absolutely.
It's really good.
Right, you're going to attack that cake now, aren't you?
Yeah,
So
my cake.
you guys, it's now your floor. You
Wow.
can tell us all about what you're
This is-
up to.
This is
Okay.
Veg Fest. Is it vegan or vegetarian?
Vegfest is vegan.
It is vegan.
Yes, it
Oh,
is.
right.
Yeah, it is vegan. We had to make the distinction, draw a line somewhere, so we decided, because we are vegan, that we would make it a vegan festival.
Right.
So it is a vegan festival, but it's for everybody. It's for vegans, vegetarians, flexitarians, as much as my wife hates that word.
What is a flexitarian?
Flexitarian is a sort of part-time vegan, really. I don't know really. What is a flexitarian? Good question.
There was a point when there were pescatarians, fruitarians.
Yeah.
There were so many different things, and
Look at them,
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, I think vegan and macrobiotic. That was the other one. There was a time when there was it macrobiotic or just beans and pulses? Yeah. But vegan, yeah. I mean, is this all vegan?
All of this stuff is vegan. Yeah, we've got
Wow.
some fantastic looking cakes there from Ruth at
We've got
Bergen Moor.
and we've got a whole bunch of stuff that you've commented just before we came on about the co-op's new range of stuff, which
Yes.
it's quite impressive that they've
We're
branded
it
a
is.
lot of stuff.
Yeah, we're really happy to have some actual financial support from the co-op. They're one of our sponsors, and they've just come out with this range of about 35, about 35 different products. We've got some of them here, and my wife and I were fortunate enough to kind of test drive some of them when Liz first got them, and we were very impressed with them.
Yep.
Oh,
And
that's
if you look
great.
at the list of ingredients as well, there's not anything on there that you don't really recognise, which is something that I always think is very good.
Yeah.
Pardon me. So we've got the Co-op grow range, then we've got sausage rolls here from Chris at the old Pier Cafe across the road from us. He
I've
makes
had them.
those.
They're really rather
That's in
He
the
nice.
centre
says
of the
those just
picture.
fly
I'm gonna-
out of the door. They go faster than the ones that have meat in.
I know sometimes
etc.
when I go in, I'll just buy a few and just keep them in the freezer. Even you can do
Yeah.
the freeze quite well. Yeah, I've got a friend that does some very, very good ones too, and she's given me the recipe, but they don't turn out quite the same as that.
Right.
These are really gorgeous.
I did hear a rumour that Woolies Bakery is coming out with, or has come out with, a vegan sausage roll, probably a la Greg's, but that is just a rumour. I heard it
Ah.
last night.
So are there
So,
more
I
people
don't know if
looking
that's-
to
that's true or not.
to be vegan?
Yeah.
Yes, I think it's, I mean, on the front of our Lucky program, which everybody should buy because it's a very lucky program.
And where's that
There's-
available from?
That is available on the day or
Oh,
days
right, I see what you mean.
at VegFest.
Right.
On the front of it, we says we're
High
celebrating. What's that?
Where it is, Aaron High School.
Yes, at Arran High School, 14th and 15th of March.
Why did you choose the high school for the venue?
Because we have delusions of grandeur, and we thought we'd have hundreds of
Oh, right,
thousands
okay.
of people coming,
Right.
and we're hoping that we do get quite a lot of people to come. But we just
Can you
we
have
wanted
a wee bit
a
there?
good venue for the speakers, because a main part of the event is the 7 talks that we have. We've got 7 really fantastic speakers, including Mr. Robertson here, and we're also going to have a couple of films, including the BAFTA award-winning short 73 Cows, which is a 15-minute long film. You might have seen it already. It tells the story of Jay and Katya Wild, dairy farmers who ultimately ended up giving their cows to an animal sanctuary because he was vegetarian, basically. They've both gone vegan subsequently. He was vegetarian and grew up with on the farm and just had a conscience about what happened to them ultimately. I think it was actually a beef farm originally. He turned it over to dairy and then ended up giving the cows away. So that's a really interesting little film. Then we're also showing The Game Changers. You may have heard about that one. It's been on Netflix.
No, that's a new one on me.
It was made in 2018, but it's only been out on Netflix, I think, for about 6 months or so. There's all kinds of documentaries there, but this is a really interesting one. It basically it dispels a lot of myths about veganism, particularly for sportsmen and women, people who are involved in like weight training and running, athletes generally. Executive producers include Arnold Schwarzenegger, who's in the film himself.
Is he a vegan?
He is a vegan. I'm not sure if he's a vegan. There's a differentiation between veganism and plant-based. He says that he has a plant-based diet.
Right.
So I don't know what his stance is as far as animals.
But there is a lot of elements to this, isn't there? There's being vegan, and then there's following vegetarianism.
Yeah.
Which is, you can be vegan, and I had a friend used to come up to Aaron in his sports car. You won't know this because you haven't been here long enough, but we used to have sports cars coming up every year.
Yeah.
And he would very, very staunch vegan diet.
Right.
But then he'd jump in his leather-clad sports car
Really? Yeah.
and disappear around the island. And that's me saying, well, you're vegan, but you're not following the as much of the philosophical beliefs that you've got tied into everything else.
Well, for some people, I don't think it's a philosophical belief. I think that's where the term plant-based is used more, because that refers to a diet, whereas veganism is an ethical choice.
Yeah.
It's an ethical
Well,
bigger
like
thing,
difference between a diet and a lifestyle.
Yeah.
So you could have a plant-based diet, but if you want to adopt a full vegan lifestyle, then you would use any animal products.
But it's
Well, they're
very...
making leather out of cactus plants now, and it's fantastic. I mean, it looks...
And leaves, yeah.
Yeah, and it's really durable.
Yeah.
So why, I suppose, would you, Would you need to use leather?
Well, that's the thing. My view is that we don't need to use leather for clothes. We don't need to eat animals. We don't need to create the sad world that animals live in mostly these days in factory farms. We think that's all just in the States, but it's not. Most of the animals in this country that are farmed are factory farmed, and it's on the increase. And if you look at, there's other documentaries which will make you weep, like Earthlings, if you really want to get into it. I wouldn't recommend that you watch it unless you're prepared to make a commitment to veganism, frankly, because it shows graphic footage of what actually happens in factory farms and in particular in slaughterhouses.
It's horrible.
It is horrible.
So you wouldn't, you're not saying that if it was all done in, chickens were running around fields and all that sort of thing, you would still keep off the meat. If you saw everything out in the open and
yes,
yeah.
Yeah, personally, I didn't become vegan for the animals. I became vegan for my personal health because I was diagnosed with arterial heart disease and I had a stent put in. And I wish I'd found out about whole food plant-based diets prior to that, because I don't think I would have gone and had somebody put a piece of, I was going to say aluminum, but I will say aluminium.
Yes.
In my chest.
I know what you mean, buddy.
You know what I mean. So that's still there. They gave me a whole slew of drugs to take, and after a long conversation with the guy who put the piece of metal in my chest, he said, you know what, most of them actually don't really do a heck of a lot anyway. And if you're living, if you're having a plant-based diet and you're exercising as well, then basically you're doing the same or possibly even better. Yeah. So I don't take any of those drugs anymore.
Yeah.
We're not meant to be able to reverse, heart disease like that,
No.
But you can do. There's good evidence to suggest that you can break that stuff down again.
Yeah.
So I think it comes down to trying to explain to people. It is a personal choice. I think that's the first thing to say. Some people can be very proselytising or evangelical about it, and that's fine. But also, a lot of folk just do it for their own reasons. And it's going through the layers as well. You're the scene of the happy chickens roaming about.
Yeah.
Often we interfere. It's for me, it's not causing any other being any inconvenience. So the question is, in this country, if you see chickens running about, where's the rooster? We often interfere with their lives,
natural,
with their natural lives.
Yeah.
And we don't tend in this country to have the rooster running with the chickens, because then you can get fertilised eggs, and you don't want to necessarily find a wee heart in your yolk.
I was vegetarian for years, till I met Les' husband, who was a chef, and then I ate everything they put down to me because it was gorgeous. But I still lean to vegetarianism, but I'm not. I don't know if I could go full vegan. It's weird.
It's a huge jump, isn't it?
It's
really,
also mentally
so many
like
people say that.
It's a different thought process and everything when you think, what will we have for tea, or what I'm going to make for dinner. I'd have to really think it through.
But I think that's where where I'm saying it's a huge jump. It's not so much a huge jump at home for people, and pretty much you can get everything you need, even possibly locally, just to make. I don't know. There's vegan butter. Is there in the co-op? I don't know. Or
the world's changed.
Yeah, so you can get it locally, but where it hasn't changed so much is in going out for a meal and stuff. And I was at catering college in the 80s, and we never even heard of vegetarians.
But that's changed a lot as well, though.
Well, I'm glad it has, because it's sort of. I was saying to you a couple of weeks ago that I had a restaurant once where I put the menu on and it was mostly vegetarian anyway, and then the option was to add a steak to it, or if we were having salad, you could add shredded chicken to it, or whatever you want. But and that was the way I handled it, so that I didn't have what I had in the late 80s and early 90s was running pubs down south in Suffolk and stuff, and the menu, and there was just this one little border of green around one thing, and it was always a nut roast or a vegetable stroganoff, and that was it.
Yeah.
And we'd always go, oh God, you know. And I think that might still exist in chain restaurants and stuff like that these days, or you know, chain pubs. But I think the most of the restaurants have started to pick up on it now.
Most have. My wife Carol and I have made it an exercise really to go around the island and check out all the restaurants, and we put together a guide which is online. If you go to our website, stonewaterhouse.co.uk, there is a link there on the links page to our Arran Vegan Guide, and you'll find there that pretty much, I think nearly all of the restaurants and eating places
Have
on the
something
island
to
now
offer.
have something
Yeah.
to offer you.
Yeah.
Yeah, and some places, 2 or 3, which is great.
I know when-
We only found one. I won't mention where it is.
No.
Which one
Do you-
it is.
do you feel that there's still a bit
we
of a-
couldn't have anything to eat at?
Right, but do you still think that there's a lack of trust between the customer and what's going on in the kitchen? Because I presume you won't want fish that's something that's been fried in the same fryer as a plate of scampi, for instance.
Right, which is why I wouldn't eat one of the Beyond burgers at Burger King.
Right.
Because they
So
say,
They
they're
use
not
the same-
vegan, they
Yeah.
cook them on the same
Yeah.
grill as the meat is
Because
cooked.
I lived with a vegetarian for some time. Carter's mum's vegetarian, and I very quickly got that message.
Right.
You're not doing that with that, or you're not using that knife for that, and all this kind of thing.
Yeah.
So
We used to get asked quite often in the restaurant where it was going to be, prepared
Yeah.
if it was
Yeah.
next to. But I know even
But
in
I think with allergies these days, I mean,
Well, that's
People
true.
are more aware.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's very true.
I mean, it's been a thought for me. I started following a vegan lifestyle 35 years ago.
that was hard then. I know.
And
I used to get offered fish and chips. If
Well,
you phoned in
yeah,
advance,
yeah.
you were going out on a special occasion, you'd phone in advance and say, I'm vegetarian, and
Yeah.
you'd get fish and chips
Really?
put down to you.
so the vegan option was often on the
Macaroni.
menu was a bus, taxi, or train, which actually popped up recently. But yeah, so the world's completely changed in terms of that, and there's a lot of, I think, health-wise, I think it has been shown that
It is a healthy diet.
it's for lots of things, for cancer and heart disease and all these other things that,
Indeed.
and
You-
there's the ecological side of it as well, I think, So I think it's that. I mean, a friend of mine introduced her, they're from a farming community, and a friend of mine introduced her kids to me, and it was like, this is a vegan, and you could see the kids,
What, this is a
it's a monster,
Did you get my
and
name back?
and you're the kind of monster that's going to, take my livelihood away from me, and so it's, but the world has changed, and I think farming has to reflect that, really. I think I think meat has been heavily subsidised over the years, and that's now changing. So what we're going to do instead, and I think we need to. Scotland agriculturally, a lot of on the west coast unimproved upland. It's not traditionally. It's mainly thing that's been used for grazing. But what can we do to change that? Because I think that is changing.
And you guys, obviously, you fight with a lot of cheek and sarcasm and everything else, including from myself. But there's a thing where anything substantially new like this huge spike in vegan and vegetarian in the last a decade or so, hasn't there? Especially the last few years.
Yeah, massively. In the
And
last few.
there's also a huge spike in something unrelated, and that's the use of electric cars, and the government now wanting to cancel out all the petrol cars.
Yeah.
With the electric car issue, I don't think half the population are aware of the damage caused by lithium mining and all this kind of thing, and ripping up ground and forests and everything else.
Right.
What's the downside to? Is there a downside to veganism that you can?
There is. I mean, for one thing, you can be a vegan and live on Coca-Cola and potato chips. It's not going to be a very healthy lifestyle. I was reading this morning, in fact, signed a petition this morning to try to educate or to push farmers in California particularly to make their almond production bee friendly, and therefore environmentally friendly. So something like 30% of the bees that they truck into almond farms at the moment die because of the pesticides that are used and that kind of stuff. I mean, bees are part of our natural environment,
Yeah.
and therefore,
Yeah.
and that's why vegans typically don't eat honey, for example. So, that would be one downside. We need to persuade these people to make ethical almond milk. Meantime, switch to oat milk, probably. That would be my suggestion.
Oat milk.
That's really
Oat
nice,
milk's
actually.
great.
That's-
Oat milk is
And
really
it's
good.
something obviously tradition you can grow in Scotland.
The other going on that same subject, the other question I wanted to not debate, just discuss with you is that for a long time, if you go back to the Wild West plains of America, and the Indians would use every part of a buffalo when they killed it to survive.
Right.
Then the white man went across and just took the pelts and left the carcasses sitting in the field, Dances with Wolves, if you've seen the movie, These days, an animal is used into extreme degrees into its entirety.
Right.
There's going to be quite a long process of replacing all those components, if you like, because we're so reliant on them now. I mean, you can't actually be completely living a vegan lifestyle in this world at the moment, simply because you don't know what
I would agree.
And that's the difficult thing.
And it's probably a bit of a contentious statement to say that I think vegans possibly should take a more pragmatic approach. Your house walls have probably got animal products in.
Yeah. As have your cars that you've just pulled
Yes.
up, and
Yes, exactly.
this is the
Yeah.
bizarre thing.
The tyres, yeah, and
it's
so on,
it's the,
yeah.
and any rubber glue or glue that's used
It's very pervasive.
yeah.
It's a journey, really, isn't it?
Of course it is, yeah.
I mean, when I started off, you had to make a distinction. Matches weren't vegan.
Matches?
Matches weren't vegan. No, you found out cinema film wasn't. Photographic film wasn't vegan.
We're ruining vegetarians' days. I'm also going to say that I told Carter's mum the other day that white sugar wasn't vegetarian. She was
Right.
like, "What?"
Well, American white sugar.
Yeah,
for
American.
sure.
Yeah, I was looking at an American website. Yeah,
I think British sugar is
because it's filtered through something.
it actually contains bone.
Right. Okay.
American
Yeah.
white sugar.
It is bizarre where you find bits of
But
animal.
it kind of opens your mind to, when you start questioning these things and you start seeing how, we just take it for granted that animals are just there to be used.
Yeah.
And that's got to change, I think.
Well, I think now, I mean, there's a few points coming up here. Organic. People are starting to be aware they want free range, they want organic, they want, animals to have a nice lifestyle up until. But and I mean, I love the new milk. The Arden Milk's back. I adore that. I can drink oat milk, but I do love that milk. And there are a lot of people that don't maybe want to go down that whole vegan vegetarian route, but I think it's hitting a balance. While there's a transition, I don't think it's like we said earlier.
Yeah.
I don't think you can just suddenly cut that out. I think information and education is part of it. I mean, you find out, for example, with soybeans that are grown in America, there's no legislation on it as far as I'm aware at the moment. So because they've built up the plants have built up such a resistance to pesticides, some of the things they're throwing at them is scary.
But
And
often that
They're-
soy is fed to animals, though.
Yes.
The soy milk you're buying in Europe is mainly grown in Europe.
All right, okay.
And
Well,
especially
the
especially
soy-
if you specify organic.
Soy that's grown in the US is patented, believe it or not. The seeds are patented by a company called Monsanto.
all right, okay.
And they own that patent. And if you're a farmer, you cannot grow any other kind of soy. You have to use their soy. It's crazy.
Right.
So there's that world, there's a world picture here where we're, cutting down the Amazon to grow soya to feed beef. And there's that, there's a water use, and there's also a sort of protein. You can feed so many more vegan vegetarians than you can feed meat eaters just from the same water use and from the same land use. So that will become more and more of an issue.
Yeah.
But I think information and education is going to make a big difference when people can make an informed. I think that's what I'm trying to say. When people can make an informed decision
Yeah.
Yes.
and an informed choice,
Yeah.
Exactly.
I think that's
Yeah.
that's good.
And that's exactly why we're doing VegFest, is
Yes.
to inform, to educate, to try to get people to understand what veganism is about. Why do we do this? You know, there's three main reasons. There's the environment, there's health, and the animals.
And there is no actual harm in saying, well, we'll just do it part-time, as you're sort of intimating is to do it, you know, we'll have a
I would,
veggie day,
Veganish
a couple of
is-
days a week,
is-
you know.
is
Yeah.
better than
Yeah.
precisely.
I mean,
Yeah.
like David Kelso is pointing out that we have lots of local, you know, resources for butchers and for fresh milk and ice
Fish.
cream and all that and fish and stuff like that. Well, that's,
Yes, we've also got
you
a
know.
high heart disease rate and
Yes.
Yeah,
cancer rate,
yeah,
you know, and
yeah.
you know, there's a point where you have to, you know, as a practitioner, then I would often, you know, if I'm treating somebody with a really heavy disease, such as those diseases, then the vegan diet. I mean, that's how I came into it, was from all those angles, but predominantly from the nutritional health angle. And the problem is actually with, I see, is with animal protein.
right.
Yes.
And we're obsessed with protein. We actually take too much protein in.
Mm-hmm.
If you think about it, what is human breast milk? What's the percentage of protein?
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's
I've
low.
never tried it actually.
Tastes quite like rice milk.
Just before we end, could you just point out a couple of other bits that you brought and
Yeah.
these lovely cakes that are from Ruth?
From Ruth at Ferganmore
I'll
Vegan
just put mine.
B&B in Sannox. And by the way, I must mention that her partner Gregor is, I must say thanks to Gregor, because he's probably right now working on our website, just updating the
Right.
last few things on there.
Is that the only other vegan B&B on
Yes.
the island?
Yeah, it is, yeah.
Yeah,
We
yeah.
opened up pretty much around the same time, within about a few months of each other.
Right. Okay.
So,
Just
which,
very quickly to finish that protein. Human breast milk is only 5 to 8% protein,
Right.
and that's when you need it most. Most of our diets are way, way above that. And as soon as you start increasing, as soon as you go above 5% of animal protein in your diet, then it's been shown to increase the diseases of civilization.
Right.
Heart disease, rheumatoid arthritis, cancer, a lot of these multiple sclerosis. A lot of these diseases are because we're taking too much animal protein, and that's milk, eggs, meat.
I love fish.
so
I
also
love fish as well.
we've got some treats here.
Don't kill them and eat them.
These are nougat pralines. We've got some chocolates
I did try
here.
one of these earlier. They're gorgeous.
Sorry about the crackling.
There you go.
we're very
There
close
you go.
to it. So those are from
Dark chocolate.
online, and you've got there
Yeah.
are some sweets from some bits from the co-op as
Yeah.
well there.
So I would
Good.
definitely encourage everybody, come to VegFest, listen to the talks. We've got 7 speakers, including Keith here. We've got a medical doctor. We've got people who are going to talk to you about the environment.
Do you have
Just-
stalls as well? Isn't
We
it?
also have loads of stalls, yeah,
Oh,
about
what
nearly
kind of
30
stalls?
stalls,
Yeah,
yes, with
wonderful.
food,
Freebies.
products, all kinds of stuff.
Sounds exciting, actually. I look forward to that.
Fred Shortman is saying at the moment 17% of raw hides in the USA are going to landfill as there is no market for leather. The only thing I can relate to that, Fred, is Lamborghini. I'm afraid I'm going to have to mention Lamborghini. I get Lamborghini in every week. Doesn't matter why.
No, it just slips.
But Lamborghinis actually have very little leather in them because the actual seats are made out of Alcantara, which is, you know, a synthetic suede. It's as expensive because it's very time-consuming stuff to make, but it's they've ditched a lot of leather in the cars, as have the high-end Ferraris, because Alcantara's got a better feel to it as well. It's got that softer feel. Rather than just a hard leather seat that you're used to in the 1980s supercars. So, but yeah, they've sort of trimmed down a bit.
Was
But
the
I
last
don't
one
know.
you brought over, was that, so that wasn't leather?
No, that was Alcantara you were
Wow.
sitting on. Yeah,
It's a car, it's not a type of pasta.
see what I have to deal with here. Right, we are 50 minutes in. I think.
All right, I
I
think-
think we are done.
I think I need a knife and a plate, to eat, or a spoon.
All right.
A very big spoon.
I have no idea what we're doing next week. Do we?
Not
No,
yet.
we've
no.
got an idea, but we don't know whether it's going to happen. If you're wanting my Canadian book, it's out on Tuesday. Thank you. It's my little plug. You're playing tomorrow, not Wednesday.
No, I know, I got that. No, tomorrow night.
Tomorrow night at Crofters, Heather will be in playing.
Aaron Dawn, so that's...
Oh, it's Aaron Dawn, is
yep,
it?
Stuart Farrer and I will be doing
Right.
traditional set.
And I'll come down for the traditional break so I can talk about next week's show. Thank you very much to
Thank you so much, Jules
and Keith for coming in, bringing all
Thank
this
you.
food, and to Liz, of course, for sending us up another bunch of
The co-op
stuff.
has been fantastic. I mean, she's been
Yep.
so generous with
Yep.
with things. Whereabouts is most of this? Is it on the chill as you go in on the right hand side, or
It's all scattered around because
well,
there's
the grow range. It's throughout the
it's all
store.
over because
Yeah.
there's
Throughout.
muffins
Yeah.
and stuff, but most of that stuff's in the fridge, and then the
Yeah.
muffins are on the.
oh, is that muffins? Oh. Saw the muffins. Didn't
We'll call it
Cupcakes.
that, I think. So
Okay.
goodbye, Heather. Right, we're off. We'll see you next week. Thank you very much for joining.